as you can see, this is the old street in Qingdao, filled with small stalls and restaurants, full of snacks and things to eat. Rather pecky at the moment. And it's really, obviously, I'm not sure it could translate across in the camera, but the smells coming out are delicious. And you go past a different restaurant and there seems to be a different smell coming from each one. Really fragrant. In all honesty, that's made me absolutely starving. I'm just smelling all of that stuff. I think we want to go and grab some food pretty soon. Oh, here. This is quite interesting. This essentially is the name of all the restaurants on the street, and the government will put in whether they find the restaurant great or just satisfactory. Good thing there doesn't seem to be any unhappy faces, so I'm pretty sure it's just great food, good food, and great food as well.
Back in Roman times, there was a famous saying that all roads lead to Rome. Well, you wouldn't be far wrong if you changed the moniker in China to all roads lead to food. In Qingdao in particular, you'll find that seafood, quite logically due to its coastal location, is the main protagonist in the local diet. First established in 1902, the Peach-Eye Courtyard, as it's known, cultivated its fame through serving an array of delicious dishes, but with a distinctly local flavour. And as you'll see, in terms of food, not much has changed.
So for those of you that are worried coming to Qingdao that all you're going to get to eat is seafood, fear not. We're in the snack street and you can find absolutely everything here. Of course there is seafood, but plenty more as well. Now let me explain what we've got here. Essentially you've got to visualize what you're going to eat. So here we've got the main ingredients. Pick the ingredients you want, then they'll stick it in the kitchen and cook it in whichever way.
Though seafood is abundant here, you can eat all sorts of dishes that reflect the Shandong cuisine style. Shandong cuisine is characterized by quick frying, stir frying, braising, and deep fat frying. The food tends to be crisp, tender, delicious, and greasy, with some sweet and sour flavors. As you might guess, Shandong dishes can be a little salty, as salt is the main condiment used in cooking, although fermented soybeans and soy sauce also feature. Though it primarily attracts tourists and locals with its mouth-watering food, it has also developed into an entertainment area. These days, you can find more than 60 shops, hotels, stores and restaurants here, as well as the street performers. But this isn't just a gastronomic haven. Culturally and architecturally, there's plenty to be done around here. You'd be surprised at the number of people who actually come to Qingdao primarily for the European architecture found throughout the city. But do spare some time to take in the Chinese architecture. If you're familiar with the hutongs and courtyard houses of Beijing, you'll notice how different the everyday lives of the Qingdao people would have been throughout the 20th century. Back then, many families would have been living in this building with a central shared courtyard, unlike their single family counterparts in Beijing.
So I've arrived in one of the typical courtyard homes that you can find in Qingdao. Typical in that it has the same courtyard feeling as the Siheyuan in Beijing. However, they've melded together the slightly finer aspects of European architecture with Chinese architecture. So you'll find a tree in the middle, same rectangular shape, but stories built up above each other. And this is where back in the day, the middle classes would have lived.
If you try and do Qingdao architecture in a day, you'll find that your head will in all likelihood be in a spin by the end. From elegant 20th century flats to regal cathedrals bang smack in the middle of town. Qingdao is arguably a city of polar opposites, melded together by a European influence that is deeper here than almost anywhere else in China.
So we've taken a rather elongated detour and headed to a tiny little village in Bavaria in Germany. Or at least that's what it would seem like. We've got all the cobblestones behind, we've got the architecture which can resemble any European village, and St. Michael's Catholic Church behind me, which was built in 1934. We are of course still in Qingdao, in the old German part of town, but church is fantastic, and if you look up, the two spires can be seen from all over the city.
So you made it up the steep hill of Zhongshanlu and arrived at your own little taste of Bavaria. If surreal is your thing, then don't miss this chance to witness this imposing edifice. To add to the surrealism is the fact that you're likely to be surrounded by a gang of brides and grooms-to-be. In total contrast to the superstitious Western view that it's bad luck to see the bride in her gown before the wedding, it's almost a must-do here in China. What you'll see is the pre-wedding photos being taken, and this cathedral, together with the more quiet beaches, are a prime wedding shoot location. Despite being badly damaged during the Cultural Revolution, when the crosses on each spire were torn down and subsequently rescued, the cathedral remains an active place of worship. Mass is held here every Sunday. You'll also be able to have a taste of Chinese entrepreneurship as vendors muster outside selling crucifixes and souvenirs. The weather in Qingdao is particularly pleasant for much of the year, thanks to the influence of its coastal setting next to the Yellow Sea. Its summer climate is warm and the winters are relatively mild, especially when compared to the more northerly cities in China. July and August tend to be the hottest months in Qingdao, though there's always the possibility of heavy showers coming down, as this time of the year is the monsoon period. It may interrupt your efforts to get that perfect tan, but on the top side, the city is quickly enshrouded in a very atmospheric mist.
Hi, welcome to Qingdao's very own underwater world, home to a whole host of fascinating sea creatures hailing from such exotic locations as Australia, Singapore, and even South America, also just plucked from outside on the shores. However, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is a shark, which I've been told is worth over 500,000 RMB. Is Jaws coming out of retirement?
No need to worry about the weather in this next place. Opened over 50 years ago, the Qingdao Underwater World consists of 4 main areas on both sides of the Leiyang Road, connected by an underground passage. Here you'll find the freshwater aquarium, the marine animal performance hall, the biological marine specimens hall, and the jellyfish dream palace. The moving platform will take you through a tunnel in the aquarium itself and provide you with a spectacular 360-degree view of this aquatic delight. It's an all-in-one experience with live shows, near-perfect recreations of natural habitats, a museum, and a room full of all sorts of jellyfish. Can't think of anything else you could ask for. In the Marine Museum, you'll be able to ogle at almost 2,000 specimens of aquatic organisms. Accumulated in the course of 60 years, it is China's most comprehensive collection of marine specimens. Take your time with the Chinese sturgeon and giant salamander, amongst other things. If you're looking to pick up some fish of your own in a nearby market, you might be interested to know that something with the unlikely name of red parrot is the most popular pet fish in Qingdao. It's also the most readily available, especially before Chinese New Year, when Chinese people often buy aquariums for good luck. The rare, bright and colourful angel-like fish quite rightly has a nice seating area by it, so that you can sit there transfixed by their movements. They dim the lights outside, which puts the spotlight firmly on these heavenly creatures.
So the underwater world was opened in 2003, and at the time, this was the largest tower of its kind in the whole world. Of course, as things are, it no longer is, but it's still in the top 5.
When I say of its kind, I mean it's the world's largest single acrylic cylinder show tower. And just so we're not accused of withholding any more vital information, if you're a keen diver or simply want to give it a go, then Qingdao Underwater World is as good as any place to start. They'll give you a quick crash course in breathing techniques, and before you know it, you'll be wetsuited up, diving in and swimming amongst the sharks. But don't worry if you're a beginner or simply can't stop playing that song from Jaws in your head. A dedicated professional would accompany you the whole way if you need it.